Hello, this is video number 3, and you've learned so far how to prep the strips for the class. You've learned how to talk to the kids about making the newspaper pots, and that's more or less the language that I use with the kids. Now I'm going to tell you some of the behind-the-scenes curveballs that might come your way so that you are prepared for them and not taken by surprise. So number one of the most challenging things that we ran into in doing this project with the kids was simply wind and rain. So if it is raining, it's best to do this under a walkway that's covered or inside of a classroom or inside of some sort of indoor room. If it's just windy, there are rocks around the perimeter of the garden. I don't have one with me, but you can just put a rock or two to hold down the paper so that they don't fly away. And then just keep reminding the kids to keep their hands onto the rectangle strip because otherwise it's chaos and all the papers fly away. The other thing I would recommend is actually to keep the tools near you. The kids will start getting real grabby and they won't listen to the instructions and they'll just start folding and rolling. It's better if you kind of control this. Keep the strips with you, keep the cans with you, and as the kids get into position, give them what they need when they need it so they don't go ahead of you. So I would encourage you to separate them, space them out, and then say, I have a gift for you. Here's a rectangular piece of paper. Make sure to hold it down flat so the wind doesn't fly it away. And this act of holding it flat prevents it from flying away, but also prevents them from doing weird things with the newspaper, which they like to do, which is great, but we want them to kind of stay focused. So once they have the newspaper in front of them, a couple funny things that happened. One, sometimes the newspaper, whatever topic is on the newspaper, gets the kids really excited. They see a funny picture. They see a Calvin Klein ad for underpants. They see Donald Trump's face, and there's all sorts of commentary that comes with that. And just say, oh yeah, haha, that's fun. Let's cover up the underpants, or let's cover up Donald Trump's face, and keep going, guys. Don't get focused on what's in the newspaper. They will fight over who gets which strip of paper based on what's on the newspaper. And you can just say, hey guys, you get what you get and you don't get upset. So as you are telling them to fold it in half but don't, then pull it back a ½ inch. I say it that way on purpose because a lot of them will want to just fold it in half. That's where sort of the natural crease is in the newspaper because of the way the newspaper is produced. So we want them to not fold it in half. Some will fold it in half anyway, and you will have to help them gauge how to pull it back. They don't have a good understanding necessarily of what a ½ inch is. It doesn't matter that it's precise. You don't have to pull out a ruler, but you do kind of want to help them pull back a little bit, okay? Then they will fold it down flat. So at this point, the reason why I tell kids to point it away from them is because the process of rolling is much easier for them to roll it like this than it is for them to roll it like this. They really have a hard time doing that. So I would include that step of pointing the paper away from them. If they roll the paper over the flap instead of the fold, it's not the end of the world. It just is a little bit harder to do. So if you can kind of check to make sure that they've done that and walk through those steps carefully about checking that, what you can do is either roll your own paper or just say to the kid next to you, hey, what's your name? Oh, Justin? Justin. Hey guys, look at what Justin's going to do. Justin is going to check to make sure that there's a thumb's width poking out. He's going to check to make sure that that line keeps going. And he's going to make sure that he's rolling over the folded side. Right, Justin? Because you're such a smart guy. And then Justin kind of just sits and watches while you do it for him. And he's usually okay with that. Sometimes I pick the most squirrely kid to do it for him because that way I know he's kind of getting his project done and the more obedient kids can follow along. So now watch this. What happens a lot is the kids start to roll and they just want to roll it up quickly. And they do something like this. And what you can see is they haven't paid attention to make sure that this line continues to meet this line. And so they end up with a spiral. So you don't want to chastise them. You just say, okay, that's all right. It got a little off kilter there. So let's take it back. Let's slow it down. And again, let's work slowly together to make sure that this line continues to meet this line. Okay? All right, that looks great. Now, it's possible some kids get so excited, they just go, oh, look, I did it. And then they let go and it all spirals out of control. So it happens. It's okay. Just remind them, say, hey guys, once you've rolled it up, make sure you hold on to it tightly so that it doesn't come undone. Okay? And just freeze and wait for the rest of your colleagues to be ready to go on to the next step. So you're holding your cylinder together and you're keeping the can on the table. Some kids, they'll go like this and they'll go tap, 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 and all of a sudden there's no thumb's width of can poking out. So double check that everyone has a can's width poking out, and then just help them kind of rejiggle it up so that that little bit is poking out the bottom. Then some kids, another curveball that may come your way is some kids don't flatten this all the way down so that it's lying flat against the can. They're very gentle or a little bit frightened, and so they'll do something like this and like this, and then they just mush it all down and panic. And that's okay. So what I would do is on purpose, take it really slow and kind of joke about it. Say, gosh, this flap is driving me nuts. So I'm really gonna flatten this down so it's pressed down, and then pause and just double check that all the kids are following you so that you don't end up with a kid who's frustrated because he or she did not press that all the way down. And then this across from here, all the way down, and the cat ears kind of helps them to understand that, and then pressing them down. Then the part about the bumpy butt versus the flat butt is just to keep them laughing and having a good time. It's fine if however you want to describe it, but flipping it over, some kids really want to bang the heck out of this. It's not going to hurt anything, but it's not necessary. Just a gentle pressure to get that flattened butt is great. Some kids, when they pull out, the paper has been rolled so tight that they struggle and they can't get it out. So tell them, just ask me for help, and then a little gentle wiggling should do the job. Some kids will have a really tight pot. Some kids will have kind of a looser pot. It's both okay. And then they will struggle again with this part of folding the flap inside. Some will try and do this most itsy bitsy little teeny weeny fold. If they do that, that's okay. Even if they didn't fold it at this point, it's probably fine. But if you have the time and can walk them through that last step of folding it in about 1/2 inch, that's great. But if you don't get to that point and that last little bit doesn't happen, or they fold it too much or they fold it too little, it's okay. It'll be fine. The other thing they like to do is finish and start flipping it, because they like to flip everything these days. And you might say to them, hey guys, this isn't the best object to do bottle flipping with because it's a little bit fragile, since we have not used glue or tape on purpose, because we want to have the option of just plunking this straight into the dirt and knowing that this ink and this newspaper is safe for the dirt and will decompose, while glue and tape would not be that. So those are some of the curveballs that might come your way, and I hope that helps.